was just such a great time. I really loved being a part of a startup. And I think that pushed me into going out on my own and becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own business.
If you're looking to leave the 9-to-5 and elevate your side hustle, the Hustle the Day podcast is the podcast for you. Your host, Trent Bray, left the 9-to-5 grind behind and is helping others do the same and focus on the future. Hear from others who have done it and how they did it. Jump in as we talk entrepreneurship, mindset, and strategy. Just take it one day at a time and hustle the day.
On this episode of the Hustle the Day podcast, I have Addie Meschke on the show. Addie, 8 years ago, started blogging, and in doing so, it allowed her to leave her corporate job, start another company, become a full-time influencer, and she is now creating resources for others to be able to do the same. A really inspiring story, really cool. Let's check it out. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hustle the Day podcast. Super honored to have Addie Meschke here today. Addie, why don't you jump in and tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Hey, everyone. I'm Addie. I am an entrepreneur and full-time blogger at Verbal Gold Blog.
Perfect. So a full-time blogger, that's something that really rose to prominence a few years back. And, now it's kind of moved more towards the influencer marketing and on Instagram and some of the other platforms. How has that transition been for you, going from blogging to be an Instagram influencer, but your blogging is still a big part of your business? How has that whole ecosystem worked out for you?
I would say it is a really fine line between creativity and content fatigue. There are just so many platforms, and with different, there's vertical and horizontal, and then there's square there's just so many formats that sometimes you can't repurpose the content, or if you want to, it's not the best. It's just a lot of content to produce, especially if each platform wants you to produce 5 pieces of content a week. It is a full-time job. But it's really fun because I've been able to connect with different people. There are totally different audiences on every platform. So you kind of have your own mini communities within each platform. So I've enjoyed it in that sense, definitely.
Well, that's great. So how is it that you got started, becoming a full-time blogger? Where did that story start at?
Oh, man. Well, I've always really loved business, and I've always been very interested in entrepreneurship. It's something I've wanted since high school. And I just happened to get injured in CrossFit in 2012. And my friend started my blog for me. And she was like, you have to do this. You're traveling, you're doing fun things, just write. And I was like, well, I don't really want to write about myself. Blogging was seen more as a diary back then. But she made my blog for me. She did everything, and she knew I was going to be immobile for a little bit because of my injury. And that kind of just spiraled. 8 years later, here I am still doing it. So it was really a nice push in the right direction. Shout out to Chelsea Hyatt.
Well, that's nice. She set everything up for you and, made that process easy. But obviously, starting that and sticking with it is something that isn't the easiest thing to do. How have you managed to persevere going through that content fatigue, like you mentioned? Like, how can you keep pushing through that content over the last 8 years?
I think it is very in line with your passion, and I'm very passionate about my brand specifically, and just business in general, and travel. Those are my pillars, and I've really enjoyed helping other people plan travel and sharing my tips with everyone. And just being able, it's all about the hustle, but it's really all about balance. You don't want to burn out. It's all about the long game. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And coming from advertising, when the money moved there, that was also a big motivator because I was getting to work with big brands, like Dr. Pepper and Chapstick and Walmart. And it was just me. And that was validation that I was moving in the right direction. And this was going to take off.
Yeah, absolutely. So we keep kind of moving backwards, which that's part of the story. But before you got into blogging, what were you doing before then?
So this is gonna age, I'm gonna age myself here. I was in corporate America for AT&T selling Yellow Page ads. Did you ever have a Yellow Page book?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if anyone has them anymore, but I was the one selling those full page ads to the lawyers. That was me. I worked in major accounts. I was able to move to San Francisco from Atlanta to do that, and it was amazing. Then we moved into digital advertising, and then I saw where the trend was going. I think that was in the iPhone 4 days. So when we're moving up into digital advertising, a startup company reached out and they were going to be the first people selling mobile ads on your cell phone. So if you're on those websites and you see the banner ad across the top, that's what they were selling. And I was like, I would love to just get into that. I love advertising. So I moved to the startup, which is um, just the most fun environment. If you ever have the opportunity to do it, I would. And from there, I was able to move into the influencer marketing area that I am now.
Very cool. So yeah, it's interesting. I interviewed somebody that I didn't realize this product even existed, but they were in Yellow Page sales,
Uh-huh.
but then they went to Red Pages, which was like the Yellow Pages, a printed paper directory for websites.
I feel like I've heard of that.
I was not aware of it, but for me,
I think
the
the big
Yellow
selling
Pages
feature
were kind of
was
at the end.
I think it was their selling feature maybe like coupon ads or something. They sold ads within those spaces.
Hmm,
Advertising
interesting.
will always be popular on whatever medium, people can get their message across.
Right.
So I just followed the trend from print to digital.
Yeah. There you go. So what was it like? We talked a little bit before we started recording about how your family raised you to be in the corporate environment. You moved to the startup environment. Now you're an entrepreneur. What were the different types of environments like for you?
Corporate America was definitely very structured. You're definitely an employee and you know it. When you move to startup, you feel like you're part of a family. You feel like your contribution matters and that you're helping move the needle and you're all in it together. The culture is amazing. The community is amazing. It's smaller. The team atmosphere, I think, is what really uh, was able to project, I guess, for me. Like that just I stuck around there. I believed in it and I felt like I was really helping. And because it was a smaller startup, we did a lot of fun events together. We did games uh, on sales rankings, and it was just such a great time. I really loved being a part of a startup, and I think that uh, pushed me into going out on my own and becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own business.
Yeah, and you mentioned again before we started recording that in that startup space, you actually had people you were working with encouraging you to get started on your own thing, correct?
Yeah, the media reps I would work with, they followed me on Instagram. They read my blog. It was so weird because it was like two worlds were colliding. And they would always ask me, Addie, when are you going out on your own? When are you going out on your own? And I haven't said it here, but I was working full time and writing on my blog and posting on Instagram. I was doing that after hours and on the weekends and just working kind of nonstop. I was hustling. And my friends and the people I worked with were like, when are you gonna get out of here and go do this? So they helped push me along. I'm still friends with them today. They still follow me on Instagram. And the fact that those messages came from such big media buyers for big brands like Verizon and P&G, it was just, it gave you a really like a real boost of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that being a confidence booster. But at the same time, it's kind of awkward. It's like those two friend groups that you have that you've always kept separate, and they're kind of
Right.
merging together. And
Yeah, don't go to dinner together. It's weird.
well, they help push those two friend groups together, and now it's working really well for you.
Yeah. It was great.
Well, cool. How was that transition going from that startup to doing your own thing? Was it hard to structure things for yourself, or did that startup kind of prepare you to be more resourceful on your own?
It definitely pushed me to be more resourceful. I left my job March 15th, 2017 and started America. And that night at 5 a.m., I was like, I'm going to start my social consulting business right now called
Hmm.
Social Gold. At 5 a.m., I made the graphics. I work with my team at the time I had, because I was working full time. I'd already had a team in place, like an assistant and a web designer, a graphic designer. So they were able to just jump on the phone with me and help me launch my social media consulting business. I launched it at 7 a.m. and I already had 100 people sign up, and
Wow.
I was charging $2,000 a pop per month for them to work with me. And then my husband looked at me and he was like, "You got this." And from there, I just knew anything was possible.
Wow.
There's no limit.
Yeah, that is amazing. So, there's been a lot of things that sound like they were just kind of easy for you because I mean, you had a team lined up, you had people knocking on the door literally to get your products. What would you say were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you went out on your own?
I would say not knowing anything and being scared. Like, you're always going to be scared. I didn't know if it was going to work. I was making six figures, a healthy six figures at the startup company, and and on the blogging side, I'd only made $10,000. So that's why I expanded into my social media consulting business, because I was like, I can't live off $10,000 a year. I was just doing that for fun at the time. Brands hadn't really crossed over into that space. They were paying like $100 an Instagram post. So I was like, I know I have to expand my brand immediately and my offerings. And the challenge was, there's so many different hats you have to wear as an entrepreneur. You have to be the collections person. You have to write the invoices. You have to find a CPA. You need a team in place, or you need to be a photographer, know how to stay organized and motivated while you work at home. And you just learning and Googling that, you could just do that for hours and hours.
Yep,
You
for
definitely
sure.
wear 20 different hats as an entrepreneur. You think you're leaving corporate America because you're tired of the 9 to 5. You'll be working 24/7 as an entrepreneur.
Yes, and you know what? That's definitely something I can relate to because my story. My parents grew up as entrepreneurs, and I
That's
started
awesome.
doing entrepreneurship at a really young age. Thought it was easy. Got kicked in the rear end a few times, and had to go to a
Yeah.
9 to 5, and come back out to an entrepreneur again. But the best thing for me, you being a mother, and it for me, I like the fact that yes, I am going to have to work more hours, but hey, I can stop in the middle of the day and go to my daughter's
A
recital
hundred
or
percent. A hundred
something
percent.
at her school, or it's one of those things where it's like I can craft my schedule around those things so I can still be involved in the family, but then when they go to bed, it's back to work.
Yeah. Balance is the key. It's something I still struggle with. As you know, I was up until 4:30 last night in the morning. So I haven't perfected the balance aspect of things yet, but being able to be with my family is priceless. And I am so thankful for that. I would never go back to anything different. Just being able to spend time with my son as he grows up in his first 2 years has been probably the best thing for our family.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned you had to branch out to really make this a business, but you still have a lot of value in your blog. Where do you see blogging going in the future?
I love my blog. A blog is stable. It's like your foundation. If you're going to be doing all the other things, I feel like you still need a website and a blog just as your home base. And right now, blogging has shifted to Instagram and microblogs, which are considered captions.
Right?
That's where people, that's where it's shifted. And a lot of people that are popular on Instagram actually don't have blogs. But blogging as a foundation will always be valuable. especially if you want to work with brands because of SEO and evergreen content. I still have blog posts that are 5 years old that still get traction today. And it's where I can own my community, or maybe that sounds bad, but I own my home. And so I know my community has a home base to go to. Like Instagram can go away tomorrow, Facebook can go away tomorrow, and then I'll be left with nothing. And that's terrifying. So you have to have somewhere where you can access your community, be able to check in with your squad at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit on that perfectly, the evergreen aspect, because things on Instagram, stories disappear in 24 hours. Things get kicked out of the feed really in a couple of days. It's really one of those things where you have to be on top of it to really be involved in that community. And so I love that aspect of having things out there that you can go back to. So a lot of people that I've talked to that talk about the evergreen strategy is usually referring to YouTube, but a blog is absolutely the same kind of aspect. And a lot of people talk about YouTube being the number 2 search engine. Well, Google's number 1, and you're going to show up on Google. So you're already ahead of the game in that aspect.
I do my blog to build my community. I work on my email list a lot. And then I also joined this app or third party called Community, which is a texting app. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
So I know that some people don't open their emails, but they will check their text messages. So I can find you and you can find me on a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And that way your audience is always able to find your content, even if Instagram goes away tomorrow, or, everybody hops to a different platform, or, it's just something that happens naturally over social media.
Yeah, we're connected. We're besties.
Yeah. So speaking of one of those new platforms, the way I actually discovered you was through Clubhouse.
I love that.
That's kind of the, trendy social media platform at this point in time. For those that aren't familiar with it, it's an audio only format. Nothing is recorded. It's kind of like a live podcast. So what would you say is your strategy going forward using Clubhouse to build your brand?
I am obsessed with Clubhouse. I love it so much. The tips and the connections in there have been invaluable. I love it. And my strategy right now is to grow my community. And currently Clubhouse is invite only. So I want to set myself up for success when the masses do flood into Clubhouse. So I'll kind of know what's working. I'll have like an A/B test and kind of figure that out. Right now, my strategy is to host a room 3 times a week so I can start my own club. That's the best way to do it for 3 weeks. So I'll be starting my own club. Make sure you guys follow me, Meschke, Verbal Gold Blog. And I'm also offering a freebie within my bio. So something when I'm in rooms and I'm speaking on these topics, positioning myself as an expert in influencer marketing or advertising, people are checking out my bio, they're going to my Instagram, they're DMing me, they're following me everywhere, but I want to provide them more value. I want to stay connected. And the best way to do that is to secure their email address. So I have a freebie in there where they can just click on the link. They'll get 150 free networks. They'll get to join my free challenge, and we'll be able to stay connected that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And in full transparency, you got me.
It worked. Yes.
Yes, it worked. So
I love that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. You've got your kind of your newest venture, My Resource Shop. Tell me a little bit about that.
I love helping people succeed. I'm one of those people that believes there is enough room at the top for everyone because every single person is unique and has a different value add. So I'm not, I'd rather see community over competition. And with my social media consulting business, it's a higher price point, and I realize there's just only so many hours in the day. I just can't take on that many clients, and I'm not looking to scale that business to bring on other experts to help those customers. It's something I like to do, and I want to keep it personal. But a lot of people ask the same questions. And I was trying to figure out a great way to scale. And I thought, why don't I just take all these questions and all the resources I provide and put them in a large, in a website? So it'll be just a large hub of the frequently asked questions, how to do this, what's important, all of my business tips and advice. I have 2 sections, one for influencers and bloggers and one for business owners. So I will literally help you step by step in every single platform, every avenue be successful. And we are dropping just tons and tons of resources there, as well as leaving a question box open. So if you have an immediate need or an immediate question, like how do I structure my bio in Clubhouse? If you can't find that, I'll answer it for you. So I thought that was probably the best way to scale. We also have 2 new pillars or experts that we're bringing in. I want to be the Walmart, the one-stop shop. So I'm bringing in a real estate expert that will have all of her tips on how she has crushed the game. And then I'm bringing on a social selling network marketing expert to help all of the people that are crushing it on that side. And we have a lot of expansion plans for reality TV stars, management, and so on. So I'm really, really excited about that. A lot of people were saying, Addie, you should sell this for $800. And I think I shocked everyone when I was like, no, $499 is good. And they're like, okay, $499. I was like, no, $4.99. And I got so much hate. I got so much negativity back from other people. They were like, don't give away this information. You're actually giving away, real action item or action oriented advice, not fluff. And I was like, yeah, I'm not looking to sell anything else. This is it. Like this is just to help people. So, a lot of people have loved it. The people that are in it love it. Some other people don't love it so much, to be honest with you.
You can't please everyone.
No, I think they see it as a threat, but it's been so great. I love the community over there. I love the willingness of everyone that, wants to win and succeed, and they're all cheering each other on. And that's what we need right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think you hit on perfectly. That abundant mindset is just something that not everybody has. And it really makes such a difference when you think in that style, because there's room for everybody. It's just,
I'm the testimonial. Like my revenue has increased 6 figures this year because of other people referring me, because of my squad, because of our collaborations. I didn't do it alone. I could never do it alone. But really having, like you said, that abundance mindset has helped me grow and has helped my referral network grow as well. So if you're not thinking that way, I think you're definitely missing out on knowledge and revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned you're bringing on a real estate expert, which is great. That's something that I'm involved in, but
come on through.
That's something that you tried your hand at as well, right?
I did. HGTV got me.
Turns out it's not as easy as the TV projects it, right?
No, I'm not as good as you are. My husband said he would like to try it again this year. But right now we're just doing our own home project. We were profitable. We had a 38% profit on our flip, but it took us a year.
Yep.
So I don't think that's great.
But still, 38% for your first time flip, a lot of people don't experience that. By the time you add insurance, utilities, and all those things in there, usually it's either a wash or a loss for people on their first time flip. So congratulations.
Yeah, it might have been a wash at the time value exchange, because after a year, I'm not really sure. But it was so much fun. I love learning new things. I'm so interested in trying everything to see what I'm good at. But I just really enjoyed it. I think it was a good creative release for me because, Instagram and TikTok and blogging, they're creative outlets for so many people. But once they become work, it is a little less fulfilling in the creative aspect. So flipping a house was great to just demo day, like just to tear stuff up and to build it back up to be beautiful again. I think that was a good refresh just mentally.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. There's definitely something about, moving your body and making sure that you're taking your frustration out on those kitchen cabinets like we talked about before.
Yeah, demo day was my favorite.
that definitely makes a difference in that creative release. So yeah, I definitely understand that.
And I
So,
now have a sledgehammer in my garage.
hey,
So there's that
perfect.
too.
You never know when you might need that.
And a chainsaw. I'll be honest. And a chainsaw.
Oh.
That's been the most fun toy.
Yeah, no, that's something that's interesting. I won't buy another chainsaw. I bought one for taking out some tree branches at my house,
Uh-huh.
and I used it for one weekend, and I never saw it again because
What?
everybody was borrowing it. Everybody wanted it.
They're
One of
so
those,
fun.
it's one of those things that apparently everybody wants and has a need for, but not enough to buy their own.
Uh-huh.
And so, honestly, I have no idea where it is. It's been like 7 years. Yeah, I don't know where that chainsaw ended up.
I love it.
So I keep looking back at the list of questions I want to ask you about, and it's kind of overwhelming to me thinking about all the things that you're doing right now.
It's overwhelming to me too.
well, you're crushing it, and from the outside looking in, it looks like you're
thank you.
definitely crushing it. But
I appreciate that.
going from blogging to writing a book, it seems like such a natural evolution. And just knowing a little bit of your story, I know there's been some challenges behind that. What kind of challenges have you experienced in transitioning from writing a blog to writing a book?
Wow, it was just a natural progression. I think it's something that I have always wanted to do, and I've always wanted to inspire people in some way. And I met up with this amazing writer, Katie Crenshaw, to share this body positive story to the youth. Katie does an amazing job with the Her Body Can work, and we just set out to get this done. And we have another book, His Body Can, coming out this year as well, which is smashing gender roles. The hardest challenge was being the best way to say it, but not being in a partnership, but like a threesome with the publisher and me and Katie and I. It's all done virtually, especially now during, the middle of a pandemic. So communication, I think, has been hard. Everyone's lives have been kind of turned upside down, but we're making it work. And I'm really proud of our success. I can't believe, how well received that book was. It's just been really, really special.
Yeah. It's a great book. It even talks about a girl that can hustle in there as well. So
yes. I had to throw it in there. I actually have little secrets like that all throughout. I played fast pitch softball, so I threw that in there. I also did tap, ballet, jazz, and gymnastics growing up, so I threw that in there. I've traveled to all those places, so we have little nods to our personal life in there, but also we want young girls and young children, like all the littles, to know that they can do anything.
Yeah.
Like Katie, Katie was plus size and ran the New York Marathon when everyone told her she couldn't do it, and she did it. And that was the first spread in there. So it's kind of like a, don't give up mantra.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes back to that mindset thing of, we talked about the abundant mindset, but really when you put your mind to something, you can really accomplish it. It's amazing what you can tackle when you put your mind to it.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned in the book that you traveled to all those places, and a lot of some of the things that you've created your content around is the travel aspect. How has that changed your content over the last year, where travel has been more restricted and things have been a little bit more difficult to create that content?
It has. I miss it. I definitely need a vacation right now. I need to see the beach. It's been pretty hard for the travel bloggers in the space. My blog personally, and I know a few others in my industry I've talked to, have taken a massive hit as far as ad dollars go. A lot of us are making a couple $1,000s a month in ad revenue, and it's down to maybe like $200.
Wow.
As far as the travel side goes, which is why I think it is so important to have your side hustles and your different income streams, because you never know, what could happen. And, with ad revenue going down there, I had to really switch to focus on more home and lifestyle content, which it was always there, but it wasn't in the forefront, I think. And I focused on, mom life and our renovations, which is really fun. And then I just had a midlife crisis and I was like, I need to go somewhere. So I bought my first C-Class RV, and I decided to travel across the United States. We were very careful and safe. And the reason is that we chose to do the RV is because we were isolated within our own little family unit. And we visited 9 national parks. You know, when we
Nice.
got there, we were the White Sands Beach in New Mexico. Beautiful. I would highly recommend it. There was nobody there, just miles of just white sand as far as your eye could see. It was really refreshing, honestly, just to be out in nature and escape from within the 4 walls of your house
Yeah.
after a long quarantine. And that was just really, really inspiring. I think just for myself, it helped re-inspire me. And then for my audience, and my views 5x'd that weekend. So that kind of brought it back. And I was like, well, I guess we can still do travel, but in a safe way, and show people maybe some trips that they can plan for when they do feel comfortable, that maybe they'll start saving on their bucket list or for a future trip on Pinterest. So we did 9 national parks. We drove 100 hours. We went 7,000 miles. We hit 13 states. I still haven't written about them all or edited all the photos, I think, because I'm not in a rush because people aren't traveling yet a
Right.
lot. But it's still there. I do still have some trips planned, and I'm happy to see the tourism industry coming back to life.
Yeah, no, that is great. And I've got to ask, with you traveling around, you mentioned 100 hours of driving. I'm sure you took turns between you and your husband, but how do you
Yes.
manage to still keep the content creation machine going while you're on the road for so long?
Right. Luckily, the world, the United States even, is amazing. Utah, is that where you are right now?
Yeah.
Where are
Yep.
you? Okay, Utah's my favorite state, by the way.
It's
Uh,
gorgeous.
the salt flats, just the canyons, driving up there, the mountains. There's just, if I could live anywhere, I probably would move to Utah. We had so much fun. My husband wanted to stay in that state for like weeks. We went to hot springs. It was so easy to create content because we were just so inspired, I think, seeing everything and wanting to share it. And people were following our journey. My story views went up 15,000 people, just from being in a hot spring. So they were craving that travel as well, just as much as I was.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I understand that. We were able to get one family trip in. We've got a trailer that, we tow behind my truck, but
Yeah.
we were able to get one family trip in that we wouldn't otherwise have done, just, being stuck at home. And so it was nice to get out. And I agree, people crave that right now. And that's why I think, going back to the talk about Clubhouse, I think that's why it has been such a popular platform right now, because people are craving that conversation, a level playing
100%.
field, and
Yeah.
you can talk to anyone there. Whereas if you drop an Instagram DM to some people that with 1 million followers, they're never going to
so
see
impersonal.
it. Yeah. And we're here, you can sit there and have a conversation with them, and it just feels natural. And it's been a unique platform, obviously something I'm high on, and you're definitely there too. So
it's been really refreshing, honestly.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I have met some people that I probably would have never met otherwise. I would have never seen them at a conference. I would have never met them on Instagram. If I would have potentially hired them for a consultation, it would have cost me thousands. I probably wouldn't have even gotten my email answered. So I'm just like you said, I'm on a high. I'm on a Clubhouse high, and they're all providing their freebies too. We're connecting on LinkedIn. We're connecting on Instagram. It's not just within Clubhouse. I love that it's kind of spilled over onto all these other platforms that I sent someone last night an influencer list to help them out. And she was like, hey, I think I can get you on American Express campaign. So the people are just so nice on Clubhouse. They're willing to help. You're building relationships and networking. It's it will be a game changer. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen when it gets super saturated. But right now it's by invite only, and it's intimate and powerful. I really love it.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel intimate, and it is. A lot of people have talked about being kind of like a live podcast, but last numbers I heard, and this was last week, obviously that changes as more people get involved, but there's 1.5 million active users on Clubhouse. The crazy thing is with podcasts, though, there's only 1 million active podcasts that are put out. So
Wow.
it's actually already surpassed podcasting. And so it's one of those
There was
things
only
where,
1 million last month, I think. So it is there. They have let, I guess, 500,000 people in.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely been growing, but obviously it's not growing as fast as the demand is, which is good because I've been a part of several rooms where errors happen and you get kicked out and just server issues, just in
Yeah,
growing pains. So
there are some growing pains, but it's fun. That's the startup vibe.
yeah, absolutely. That's something you've been a part of.
Yeah, I'm here to support.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned a little bit about, the hustle it took to get to where you are today. But since it is the Hustle of the Day podcast, what is your personal definition of the word hustle?
That's a great question because I think it has shifted a lot. But to me, hustle is it means it means passion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And where you see your passion, that's where you want to spend your time and energy. And I'm hustling for a better future for my family, trying to just leave a legacy. I'm not trying to be the most popular on Instagram right now. I'm trying to be able to pass something down to my son. And that's why I am hustling so hard right now, because it's my passion and it means family time to me.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, right now your son's young and you want to be able to really be there when, you can go to an amusement park and, do
Yes.
these fun things with them as
Create
they're,
memories and
yeah,
experiences and just watch them grow up. It's priceless.
yeah,
I'll never take that for granted. I'm so thankful for that. I would never go back and do it over again. I think this is definitely the right path for me.
right. That's perfect. Going out and doing this on your own, it sounds like you've had tremendous success stories. We've talked a little bit about the challenges, but what would you say was your biggest failure in going out in your own, and what did you learn from that?
I've had so many failures. I've had so many, and I think it is they're just lessons, really, and they help you to stay focused and stay clear on your goals. They help you get clarity so you don't have shiny ball syndrome. Um, the biggest failure for me was, you know, investing in the wrong people, picking the wrong partners, not doing my due diligence, doing checks on people to make sure they're in it for the right reasons. I know that's a very cliche bachelor phrase, but some people are not. They have different goals that don't align with yours. Um, so my advice, what I learned, I will say without, spilling my candy in the lobby here, is that if you're going to bring on a partner, do a background check, vet them, even if you've been best friends with them for a long time, or
Wow.
even if you've known them for a long time. You can, uh, you know, there's some things you might not know. So I would just say to do your homework there and do your due diligence
Sounds like there's
before.
a story there that you can't say much about.
There is a big one, but to the Google you go.
Yeah.
There is. I've had a bunch of failures. I actually tried to launch a merchandise line and I didn't get samples. That left me with $10,000 of unusable inventory.
Wow.
I tried to set up a another merchandise line with and then I set the profit margins incorrectly and I actually lost money when people bought. That was
Wow.
funny. That was really funny. Yeah. So you don't know everything. I would say bring in experts. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And it is definitely okay to fail because as you've seen those really, cliche meme graphs of entrepreneurship where there's a roller coaster, it goes up and down, up and down. that's definitely how it has been for me and probably for most entrepreneurs. And all you see are the wins and the highlight reels. Very few people share their failures. But you don't just start and then you win. You actually have to dig through the trenches. And I'm working on that this year, sharing a lot more of the through the trenches portion of our startup, my resource shop, because and I'm working on sharing a bunch of my failures on my blog too, because they're very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, two things that really stuck out to me. I love that you termed it, through the trenches. It's not something that you consider a failure. You keep avoiding the word failure, and I actually like that you're doing that because they're only failures if you dwell on them and you let them
hold you back.
Yeah, if you let them control things. So as you said earlier, the other thing that stuck out, they're lessons. And I completely believe that. That's why I ask that in that way of what's your biggest failure and what did you learn from it? Because then you can move past it and move on and learn from it.
Yeah, they've been expensive mistakes, I will say. I've lost a lot of money, but they have led me to even bigger money. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why I try to remain positive and have a positive outlook on things, because I know it's part of my story. It's part of my success. And you don't just get to the top. You actually do have to go through the trenches, every single person. And that's where the winners and the losers separate, because a lot of people will just bail out, but you got to keep going if you really want to hit it big.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what makes you relatable too, is because we've all had struggles. We've all had things that we've gone through. And by you showing those, people can be like, oh, well, she's human.
Yeah. It's actually, there's a fear, I think, of showing failure. There's a fear that you don't want to come across, like a loser, that you didn't win. And that was my fear for so long when I first started out. I was like, I don't want to show people, all of my struggles. They're going to think I'm bad at this, but that's actually, you nailed it. That's what makes you relatable. That's how people build a relationship with you and grow with you. They actually go through the trenches and support you and motivate you. They're not sitting there making fun of you. They want to help you and they want to see you win. That, at least from my experience, when you share that, it's, I think, more so the people that are just like, hey, look at me, I'm on top, that they're like, oh, well, how did that happen? Or how did you get there? And they can't relate,
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely power and vulnerability in kind of showing that side of things. And like you said,
100%.
people will relate to it.
I learned that this year. Only 8 years later, I've just now learned that. There are lessons every year, no matter what level you're at.
Right. And you know what? The 2021 is going to be another year of lessons for you, whether you want it to be or not, no matter what you do.
I agree with that.
Well, very cool. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're super busy. We talked about all the businesses that you're doing. So I'll give you a chance to tell people where to best find you. But before we get into that, I want to, first of all, say thank you for taking the time. But I want to ask you, personal or business, what is it that excites you about the future?
The possibilities. I can't wait. I'm just really excited. Whether it's my 1-year goals or my 5-year goals, I just know that big things are coming and I'm really excited about the possibilities.
Awesome. Yeah, there's definitely are unlimited possibilities, especially if you believe there are unlimited possibilities.
So it keeps me going, my belief, especially through 2020. But it has been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on. To all the hustlers out there, find me on Instagram at Verbal Gold Blog or at Meschke. My blog is verbalgoldblog.com and my resource site is myresourceshop.com.
Perfect. I'll make sure to include links in the show description as well, so people can just click on those and connect with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I know I've gotten a ton of value out of this, so I know my audience has gotten value out of this. So I encourage you all to get out there and hustle the day.
Hey, thanks for listening all the way through. Sincerely appreciate it. But hey, since you're here on YouTube, I have a favor to ask. If you got any value out of this podcast, and I know you did, go ahead, hit the subscribe, the like, and the bell notification buttons. That sincerely helps us out, and I truly appreciate anybody who does that.